next person can tell us all about that, be enthusiastic about healthcare. It's a great pleasure to introduce Christophe Jacquet, who's an expert in health marketing trends. More importantly, he's a real international keynote speaker, inspires a lot of people around the world, talks about this whole wave of what we call health-enthusiasm. Is that right? Or enthusiastic about healthcare. So, Christophe, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a giant pleasure to be here. My name is Christophe Jacquet, as Shafi almost pronounced correctly. Oh, nice. I'm from Belgium. I am a health marketeer. Now, if you're not 100% familiar with what that exactly is, my purpose today is to explain that to you. I'll be talking about why Netflix wants to be in your workout routine, why actually, I need to press this very hard, Mercedes is probably one of the most promising health companies in the world, and why Reebok is transforming gas stations into health hubs. Now, Shafi, can I ask you not to stand in front of the connector, because otherwise I can't really get a connection through. Thank you. Spoiler alert, the reason why these companies are doing it is just because it is expected. It's expected by the healthy customer, which we all are, basically. And it's also exactly why I'm never going to sleep again in the Millennium Hotel, because it didn't fit my health needs, certainly not at breakfast right now. Now, if I want to explain to you how we came about this, when did it start? Well, for that I need to go back to my childhood. This is my childhood, pretty much. I mean, anyone who lived the 80s certainly remember these kind of wallpapers, remember this kind of television, and certainly might remember the videos by Jane Fonda. It's about 17 million times sold back in the 80s. You actually could still buy it today on Amazon if you still want it. And the thing is, why was it so popular? Is because people, for the first time, actually, they wanted to impact their own health. I mean, which is kind of a bit strange in a sense, because fast food restaurants at that time were becoming hugely popular. Everybody was drinking a lot. Drinking has never been that much involved in society. And smoking was at its highest point ever. 40 to 50% actually smoked back then. So how does it come actually that people wanted to do something about their health? Because still back then, these were the kind of advertisements and marketing that you saw around. You could still buy cigarettes in hospitals at your bedside, even if you were ill. So how come actually that smoking never went as high up as in the 80s? Because after all, we've been busy with our health since forever. I mean, even in the ancient Greek times, we were praying to the gods. We were giving them offers to actually have good health. We still pray today for good health. So why in the 80s people wanted to do something about it themselves? But it largely has to do with, I would say, disappointments. In the 1960s, there were some huge medical breakthroughs. Penicillin was produced by one of my former employers, Pfizer that is, and actually saved millions in the war, and actually brought penicillin to a broader audience as well. It gave us some sort of control. At the same time, organ transplants became an accepted way of medical cure, medical rescue. This is Earl Starls. He was the one in 1963 who did the first liver transplants. He was also the one in 1967 to actually do the first successful one. So this is what the 1960s was about. And also women in 67 had the possibility to take a birth pill, which put them in control of their body. They could protect themselves from being pregnant. So 60s was all about, oh, we can finally do something about our own health. We can actually have some sort of control on it, right? That was the first time. Before that, it was all about belief. Now, it kind of all changed in the 80s. Because in the 80s, suddenly people started talking about cardiovascular disease. People started talking about cancer, which suddenly popped up. People talked about Alzheimer, and it got into the media because some football heroes from the 40s supposedly headed the ball too hard back then and got diagnosed with Alzheimer. So it suddenly became popular. And also this, the 80s was characterized, the whole decennium actually, by fear for AIDS. Something new, it was feared to be a huge epidemic, and actually 88% of the people in 87 said that the first or the biggest health problem in the world is the AIDS epidemic. So while we were enthusiastic about everything that we finally could do about our health in the 60s, it all crumbled down in the 80s. And that's why people wanted to take care of their body. That's why they suddenly started exercising. The fitness craze, the Lycra, the leg warmers, that's why it came up in the 80s. But you'll also see that charity events came about. For the first time, people changed doctors. Before that, the doctor was the most important person in town. But now they really dared to change doctors. There were songs that were sold to fund AIDS research. There were bike rides for cancer, for AIDS, for different types of diseases. Johnson & Johnson put out the first corporate well-being program. They put out the first corporate social responsibility program. So the whole world in the 80s was about making an impact. It's about changing things. And this is actually what you see in this graph, is that in the 60s, we had a way to impact our health. In the 80s, we wanted to do it ourselves with the fitness craze. But right now, we are here. And I call this the Healthusiasm era. And I've written a book about this, which talks about the why, the how, and the what of this Healthusiasm. But I will shortly explain to you how does it come that we get to this Healthusiasm. And there are actually 3 evolutions. One has to do with the technological evolution. If we look at technology in the 80s, you can have a look at this movie. Who's seen this movie, The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars? Who's seen it twice? So I used to get 2-3 nerds in the room. But what was this movie actually famous for? It was famous for its stop motion technique, right? These AT&T walkers, they seem to be moving around just by taking snapshots every other second. So they kind of moved the AT&T walkers every millimeter, took a picture, and by sequentially putting them one behind another, you actually can see this thing moving. This is what the movie was famous for. This is what the early 80s was a lot about. And this is also what my dad did when I got born. He used a Super H camera. For the millennials, that's the filter on your smartphone that does the rattling thing. But he used this to actually have a flock of animals gather around me when I was born, and he made it move. It took him 2 days, and he could actually show it to friends and family with this type of device. Probably a movie of about 2 minutes, maybe 50 people saw it. Now if you fast forward about 35 years up to 40 years, my son, he actually downloaded, without my knowing, an app which is called Stop Motion. He was, back then, 5 years and a half, and this is what he made without me knowing it. With the noise and all. Funnily enough, it's with his Lego for Star Wars. But the thing is that he understood, he had the tools, and he had the means to do it in 20 minutes, this type of movie, with light effect, with sound effect, while my dad needed 2 days. And he was able to show it to about 30 to 40 people. Well, when I posted this on Instagram, within the hour I had 500 people. And this is exactly the difference that we have with technology today. Technology now offers us cheap, professional tools. It offers us a platform to know about how we should be doing it, to reach out to people, to actually reach out to customers. Technology today allows us to become who we want to become. My son has learned skills of storytelling, of movie making, of lighting, of sounds, even without me explaining it to him. This is what technology is doing. And You can become a singer if you want to. This is The Weeknd. Who knows The Weeknd? It's one of the best-selling artists right now. Sells about 100 million copies. And he got famous by putting his own music that he wrote in his own living room onto YouTube. 3 years later, he's a multiple Grammy Award winning artist, selling 100 million copies. This is what we can do. Technology allows you to become who you actually want to become. A friend of mine built this car in about 2 years. How did he do it? He watched about 45 minutes movies on YouTube of a guy explaining in his garage how he did it. Another friend of mine is actually a movie maker. He always wanted to be a movie maker, and what did he do? Ever since he was 12, he learned through internet, through hiring renting super easy, cheap tools. And right now, at the age of 25, he is making his own movie with the cast, or at least with a part of the cast of Games of Thrones. It's a multi-million-dollar movie he's now making on himself together with his sister. This is what technology does to us. If you want to become a movie maker, you can become a movie maker. Or if you want to run, you can run. I mean, running is the most easy sport ever. But right now, more people are running more than ever. And why is that? Because running apps are supporting us. They are the tools. They offer you the customers, or at least your friends, that help you and motivate you to persevere. And that's the same for our health. Actually, when you talk about our health, back in the days, the only thing that you needed to do as a patient was remembering to take your medication. People were walking around with these types of, pill boxes, and the only thing that they needed to do was, I need to take my medication in time. Now then came about Google, Dr. Google, and people were informed before they went to the physician with all sorts of problems. That's another debate, but that evolved, and people now, when they come back to a physician, they get a website that they can actually empower themselves and learn about the disease or learn about how they should be treating themselves. And with all technology that is around, we are in an era where people can actually manage their own health a lot more. Of course, I mean, the pill boxes have been digitalized into this type of app, but it goes a lot further. I mean, diabetes care has been transformed into something that you can actually manage a lot better than you used to. 35 million people are using this. 100 million people are using this blood pressure meters. And about 50 million people are using the Apple Watch. These are not the most sexiest and the newest and the most innovative tools, but they are already mainstream today. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that people actually today have the technology and the power to become who they want to become, or what they want to become. If they want to be more healthy, they can do it partially themselves. And it goes further. I mean, people talk about health, so WhatsApp is helping them. People can actually go for a second opinion, third opinion. I work a lot with insurance companies, and that's one of the biggest problems in their industry. But people can also just go online, social media, and talk to people like them and learn from their experiences. I think one of the best examples to me to show how we today take care of our health is Angelina Jolie. What she did is actually remarkable. She used data, she used technology, and together with her physician, she decided to have a mastectomy, have her breast removed. And she did this openly because she blogged about it, and she really inspired people to do the same, to actually use technology, to use what is available for you, and take control of your own health. And while physicians are still doing the Hippocratic Oath today, and somehow just say, people should not be in the known, or patients should not be in the known, because that is actually part of the Hippocratic Oath. And while they are still thinking that patients are floating around them, we are living today in what I call a Copernican health revolution. It's the people that are at the center of everything. And all the health solutions are turning around them. Why? Because it's their damn body, and they want to have an actual impact on their own health. So this is the first evolution. People can become who they want to become thanks to technology. Technology is helping them to become healthy. Now, a second evolution has to do with the economy, or the way that value is created in the economy. Who has ever baked a cake, like from the raw ingredients? Like butter and flour and sugar and whatever you also need to put in there. this is what we used to do. Like in the 80s or even before that, this is how we used to bake a birthday cake. Like for example, for your kid, you want to make a birthday cake. Now at a certain point in time, you could buy these products in the supermarket where already all the things, all the ingredients are in there, except an egg and some milk. And so the only thing you need to do was add to that product some eggs and some milk. And this is how we created value. We went from something which was purely a commodity to a product. We personalized it to the needs of people. Now the next step was that you can go to a bakery. I mean, we offered services. You can actually go to a bakery and have a birthday cake given to you, or so, or at least you can sell it, or buy it. Nowadays, for my kids, again, what I do is I just rent them an experience. I'm not going to give them just a cake. I mean, it's not how we do things anymore. I just let him go to this wonderful place where he can play around with his kids and his friends, where he can actually do a lot of stuff, eat French fries, and maybe also a cake, but there's a whole experience to it. And the difference between the difference between the commodities on the left-hand side, where you have the flour and the butter, which probably costs about £1, and the experiences, which is about £100, is huge. So you create value by personalizing every time again. And this is what companies are doing today. I think the primary example is Disney World. They were the visionary one in that sense. Because already in 1956, if I'm correct, they were selling experience. They were not selling, in Disney World at least, the dolls. That was not the purpose. Or the movies. They really wanted to sell the experience. And he was visionary because actually in 2014, 89% of companies actually said that customer experience is the primary battlefield for competition. So we really need to focus on customer experience. And you see this also in the fitness industry. Fitness industries, I mean, it has become super cheap to take a subscription, right? But these guys, SoulCycle, they take it from another side. They really offer an experience. It is a spinning class, but it's also with loud music. You high-five your friend next to you. You actually use dumbbells, you dance, you run around your bike. It's a whole experience, and it doesn't work with subscription models. Every time you go, you pay. And that's the advantage of it, because it's such a good experience, people want to go. Sometimes companies even just sell experiences. This is Fun Spree, and if you want to have an open-air movie night in your garden, you can rent this for, I think it's about £35, and they will collect it within 3 days after. So it's really an experience that they sell so that you don't have to hustle to go and look for it. And also in healthcare. Health consumers and patients, 92% says that the primary focus of healthcare providers is customer experience. Yet, one of my favorite pastimes is going on Twitter and put in #hospitalfood. You really have to do it, it's super funny. Because people are really making fun of the food that they are getting in hospitals, while they actually are walking around like this and passing their time in rooms like this, which is hardly any different than, let's say, 60 years ago. So the hospital, although they are largely focused on patient experience today, this is largely still very often the reality as well. So while many companies are still focusing or trying to get patient experience or customer experience right, we have moved again. Because right now, very often an experience is not that enjoyable as it used to be. I mean, once you've done it once, once you've done it twice, 3 times, you kind of lose the value of it. And so an experience more and more needs to become personal. And then when you have a personal experience, it becomes a transformation. That's why we're moving from the experience economy into a transformation economy. I think one of the most funniest but very clear examples to me is the rage rooms. Who knows the rage rooms? If you don't know it, just look at the smile on the guy's face. This is actually an experience where people just rent for $30 and $30 30 minutes, and they can rack the place. That's pretty much the purpose. And the thing is that it's a personal experience that really leaves you totally transformed afterwards. It really makes you feel good. And it's a simple, basic example, but I think it explains it very well. Another very basic example is this, Burning Man. 70,000 people gathering outside of Nevada, It's called a festival, but there's no music artist, there's nothing foreseen. The purpose is that everybody brings what they want to bring. All these installations are made by the people that actually go there. So it's an art festival if you want. There is no money. You can only exchange things. So it's really a whole event of about, I think, a week or 10 days, where people are being transformed. There has been a huge study done by psychologists, and 75% said that they actually feel transformed after having lived Burning Man. The interesting thing was that 3 years later they did the study again, and again 75% of the people said, we still are or feel transformed. You look at the world in a different way. So this is what transformation is about. And you see this also again in the fitness industry, where personal coaches are really hot right now. Why? Because a personal coach is a personal experience for you, and they make you feel different. An example I like very much is the class in New York by Tara Toomey. It's a cardio yoga class, but the thing is that you can do whatever you want. Even if she showcases or she demonstrates what you should be doing, she really wants you to express yourself. And one of the things of expressing is yelling, is screaming, is just pulling your hair or whatever you want to do. It's really about expressing and venting. It's a bit like the anger room I showed you earlier, but in a loft with candlelights and a lot of scent. But that is really what she wants to do. She really wants you to leave you transformed by it. And she even goes on a retreat with her clients for a week. So imagine if people already transformed or feel transformed within an hour time, what a whole week can do. And this retreatment kind of stuff, these retreats are super, super popular. Already today, within the travel industry, 70% is going to wellness. There's retreats for the silent retreats, spiritual retreats, religious retreats, burnout retreats. I mean, whatever kind of retreats you can imagine, it exists. There are even DNA retreats where you have to send your DNA a week before, and then you get a personal plan during that retreat in itself. Transformation is no longer about not living at home anymore, or having your first job, or having your first child. It's really about what you want to achieve. And Nike understood it very well when they outed this, when they launched the Fuel Band. It was one of the first activity trackers. And what it did is that they would actually not make their customers loyal when they buy a lot of stuff, but they would make their customers loyal when they actually train a lot. So they really make a sort of transformation-driven loyalty program. The more you train, and the more you can prove you train, you get discounts or you get all sorts of offerings, like, for example, these ones. What they did is their name, Just Do It, they actually helped it. They really brought forward marketing programs to really make it happen for their clients. And here in London you have cuckoos, for example. I slept very badly. This first night you always sleep in a new place, you sleep bad. What Cuckoos does is they help you to really sleep well the first night. So they have changed the whole concept of sleeping, and the apartment is totally different. It has different kind of scents, it has different kind of towels, etc. And they even have this thing which they call is the womb, which should make you sleep better. Clear Channel is using these kind of arts in Sweden. Why do they do it? Because Sweden is one of the most stressed out places in the world, and so when they, through data gathering, they found or they discovered that people are stressed out in the subways. They put this out, and this is scientifically proven, so-called, to alleviate the stress of people. And then you have, of course, Mercedes-Benz, who 3 years ago already launched the Fit and Health car. It's a car that is full of sensors, which actually measures your vitals. It has a massage in your back. It changes the scent, the ambience, the music, the temperature in your car, depending on how stressed you are, on your calendar, on the traffic. So it's really a smart car, and their objective is to, instead of actually passing 2 hours in the car and feeling a little bit drained if you get out of the car, they want to make you feel healthier if you get out of the car. So that is their main purpose. They actually have a medical director in the board of directors now, and they really are focused on becoming a huge health company. You should go to their website and look at the health section. It has so much information you cannot imagine. And also in the healthcare sector, we see more and more focus on transformations. This is partially held in the States. This is a GP office. general practitioner. The purpose is totally, the setup is totally different. You pay about $1,800 a year. It's a subscription model, and you can go 10 times. But one actually visit is 75 minutes, and you really talk deeply with your physicians and the different healthcare stakeholders there. So the economical evolution. What we've seen is that companies create value with experiences or with personal experiences, which transforms people. The third evolution is a psychological evolution. You all know Maslow's pyramids. I simplified it a little bit here. You have the basic functional needs, you have the social emotional needs. More and more, we live in a society, Western society at least, where these needs are fulfilled. And so people really want to aspire, want to become the best possible version of themselves. They want to change their own lives. This is what I want to say with this slide is that you can see this very well, this aspirational needs that people are trying to fulfill by looking at how people go about their lives, in the sense that previously people waited until they retired to do what they really wanted to do. You know, when you're retired, your basic needs, your social needs are fulfilled. So now I'm gonna live my life. What you have is that right now, more youngsters are actually making that trip earlier that they always wanted to do. They are making a job from their hobby, and they really want to live the life that they always wanted to live. They're not waiting until they are retired to actually aspire for those big dreams. You also see this in the evolution of marathons. And so I talked about how the 80s was a changing period where people suddenly started caring about their own health. Well, I think this shows us as well. It went from 25,000 to 500,000 only in the US alone. So this is are the people that completed a marathon. And the reason why they do it is because it makes them feel better. It's a health preservative thing. But they also have this aspiration of being the best possible person that they can be. This is why they do it. And so no wonder that at a certain point trendwatching.com said that self-actualization, so being the best possible person you can be, is the basis and the future of consumerism. And you see this also in marketing. If you look at the basic needs and you would sell this kind of fleece jacket, well, you would say it's a great jacket, it's warm, it protects your neck, which is fine. If you go into replying to the social, emotional needs, you would add a logo on it, because people then recognize, they feel part of a group. They would have listened to the client, and there's an extra zipper here because they like it. And they would put in their marketing approach, they would put in a face that people can, relate to. This is what customer-driven marketing is about. Now today, or already even in 2011, this was a very good example of transformation-driven marketing. This is Patagonia on Black Friday saying, "Do not buy this jacket." And what they did is they added the actual ecological footprint of this jacket, saying that if you buy this, this is your ecological footprint. It's not that they don't want to sell. Of course, it's a company that actually wants to make money, but they want to change the way that consumerism is done today. They also sued actually the Trump administration several times because they did not agree with what the Trump administration wanted to do with the environment. So basically, marketing has become a form of activism. You don't only speak to, let's say, the minds by adding the product features, you also speak to the hearts by making sure that they feel belonged, and you speak to the soul by really trying to say, we as a company, we will transform this society. And there are three, to me, aspirational needs today. One is the ecotional, I call it. So it's all about ecology. Second one is all about diversity and inclusion. And the third one is, of course, what I call healthusiasm. So these are the three evolutions. You have, on the one side, the digital disruption. Technology allows you to become who you want to be. You have the economical evolution that says that we are moving slowly from an experience economy into a transformational economy. And at the same time, you have the people that actually want to become the best possible person they is healthy and happy. Because while previously we would go from sick to healthy, right now we would love to go from healthy to happy. And that's why we every day are focused on our health. And happy could mean anything for anybody. But the thing is that, let me take an example. These are all examples, but imagine if you're a 35-year-old woman who just had a kid 2 years ago, is in a wonderful, prosperous relationship, has just her career moving off, it really goes well. She still sees her friends from college. She wants to go running every now and then. But to manage all of that, she needs a lot of energy. And how can you get energy? Is by focusing on your health. And so more and more people realize that if they want to be happy, and you're 35 years old, for example, you need that energy. And that's why people are more than ever focused on their health. So I don't talk about healthcare since about 5-6 years. It's more like, it's too much of an on-off switch. You're in the system, you're out the system. I talk about healthusiasm specifically because it's always on. People are more than ever always occupied with their health. They want to have an active influence. And how do we do it? It's within all the different kind of decisions that we take. Because the decision that you take today is who you are tomorrow. And there are different types of decisions. I think I discovered about 4. And these are important if you want to address customers. It's important to understand and to think about what are the types of decisions that people are taking. One is lifestyle decisions. They might not do a lot for your health, but it is part of who we are. It defines our identity. It's the 1.2 million avocado toasts posts on Instagram. It's the activewear which is more desirable than a Celine bag today, or it's the aspirational quotes that we put on our shirts or in our Instagram feed as well. This is what the lifestyle choices is about. And the next one is the well-being choices. It's about maintaining your health and happiness. It's about the standing disc. It's about 52% of people who actually drink less. For example, just before going to bed, they would not drink because they want to sleep better. It's about this. This is Daybreaker. And right now in Amsterdam, there's a party going on without alcohol. It started at 7 o'clock in the morning with yoga. And after that, this is the reality. This is what they do to kick off the day. Going out really makes you exhausted. This types of parties really energizes you. It's a form of, exercising. Then you have the health decisions, which prevents, of course, the smoking cessation. There's the gluten-free trend, and a reading of different nutritional labels. And then you have the medical decisions, which more and more are there. There's the blood test subscription models that are hugely popular, certainly in Scandinavian countries. There's 23andMe, who has grown 300% ever since they have the diagnostic approval by FDA for certain cancer types. There is the diagnostic Genomind tests that actually helps you understand whether or not you might react in a different way to certain psychiatric medication. And there's, of course, anything related to your food. 42% of British consumers say today, I want to know what I need to eat. And this is also what Nestle already is doing in Japan, where they are helping, based on your DNA, to tell you what you need to eat to have the best possible impact on your health. So people, patients and consumers, they don't used to take that decision in a way. Consumers only take lifestyle decisions, and patients, they only take medical decisions. No, it changed. There's a lot of things in between. And this self-care thing, where you take care of yourself, is huge today. If you look at the Google searches in the past years, you see the relative Google searches going up as of 2017 when people look on self-care. So the self-care searches have pretty much quadrupled in about 2 years, specifically because of that interest. It's a 4 trillion business, and if you don't participate in it, you end up like this. This is the Standard & Poor's Index. What you see on the bottom side is actually the packaged food, because packaged food is not perceived as being healthy. They are suffering since 2007. So Healthusiasm is all about taking decisions. And also for a company, that is important. That is what health marketing is about. Helping people taking the right decisions. And if you're a supermarket, for example, which one of my huge clients is, this is the type of decision that you try to help people with. You really try to help them finding the right food. If you're autistic, you want to help them shopping better. This is what health marketing is about, and this is what supermarkets are doing. They're focusing on life, not just on price anymore, but on being healthy. And it is expected from businesses, because today, people trust businesses a lot more than the government. Very often, Edelman, it's a research that's done in 2019, early 2019, they talk about brand democracy, which means that you can actually influence society a lot more by choosing the right brands instead of the wrong brands. And that is what health marketing is about. It's the transformation you offer to make sure that people want to become who they want to become and actually create value for your own company. That's why Netflix wants to be part of your workout routine. That is why Mercedes is actually trying to make sure that they help you with your health, that you feel even healthier when you get out of the car. And that is why Reebok is changing all gas stations into health hubs. Because they are expected to do so by the health-enthusiastic customer. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you. If you're interested in this topic, don't mind to send me a mail. I'm happy to share a free copy of the book that is coming out in November. Happy to hear from you.
This is an amazing talk, as you've seen, around marketing, a new kind of discussion around who we are as humans, and asking the right questions, not just about the science behind healthcare and the healthcare versus sick care versus well care. I'm really glad that you came and gave a wonderful talk. As running out of time, because we'll be here for a short while, I'd like to ask some questions. If I have time, I'll come and find you shortly. But again, please find Christoph, ask lots of questions. I think it's a fascinating talk, and perhaps we can elaborate that further. And thanks very much, Christoph. Our next speaker, she's really already on.